She screamed, "Arrest him right now!" As two men in cowboy hats moved closer, but I stood tall because this was my ranch. My father had built every fence post with his own hands. And Karen, our HOA president, was waving fake papers like she owned it. She pushed them against my chest and said, "The HOA has voted. You're out!" "We're auctioning this place today." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I knew she had no right. People in the crowd whispered nervously, some even recording on their phones. Karen's voice cracked as she yelled, "This land belongs to the HOA now!" I pointed at the ground and said quietly, "Lady, this dirt has my family's blood in it. You don't get to take it with a piece of paper." She turned red, looked around for backup, and then smirked. "Backup is already here," she said. That's when 3 black SUVs rolled up, and men dressed like officers stepped out. My heart sank. Were these real cops, or was this another one of her twisted games? The men stepped out of the SUVs, heavy boots crunching against the gravel. They wore badges on their belts. But something about them felt off, too polished, too staged, like actors trying to play cops. Karen puffed her chest and shouted, "Officers, remove this trespasser from my property." The crowd gasped, and one woman muttered, "Wait, isn't this his land?" I raised my hands slowly, not in surrender, but to stop the tension from snapping. "Before anyone lays a finger on me, show me the warrant," I said firmly. One of the so-called officers smirked and replied, "We don't need one. HOA rules are above county law." The crowd erupted in disbelief, whispers turning into shouts. Karen tried to drown them out by waving her fake documents again. She barked, "Do it now! Drag him off!" One of the men reached for his handcuffs, but I didn't move. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear. If I resisted, it could turn ugly fast. But if I stayed calm, I might expose her. That's when a voice boomed from the back. "Hold on! I know those men and they're not cops." Every head turned toward an old rancher stepping forward, his cane digging into the dirt, his eyes sharp with fire. The old rancher's words cut through the air like a whip. Karen froze for a split second, then forced a laugh. "Oh, please." "Don't listen to this old man. He's confused." But the crowd leaned in closer, sensing something was wrong. The rancher tapped his cane on the ground. "I was sheriff in this county for 30 years. I trained real deputies. And those men, I've never seen them in uniform." The so-called officers shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other. Karen's face twisted with panic, then anger. She hissed at them, "Don't just stand there, do your job." But hesitation was spreading, and the crowd was starting to film every second. I locked eyes with Karen and said, "If you're so sure this is legal, let's call the real sheriff. I'll dial him right now." She snapped back, "No need. The HOA has authority." I pulled out my phone slowly, my thumb hovering over the screen. The fake cop closest to me growled, "Put that away." The tension was unbearable, silence broken only by the restless horses tied near the fence. Then suddenly, one of the SUV doors slammed shut again, and a teenage boy jumped out, holding a camera, yelling, "I recorded everything. The truth is about to go viral." The boy's shaky hands clutched the camera as he played the video on loudspeaker mode. Everyone gathered closer, and Karen's voice blared from the small screen. "Make it look real. Wear the badges. No one will question you." Gasps filled the air. Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the device, but the boy darted back into the crowd. "Don't let her touch me," he shouted, and instantly, 2 ranch wives formed a wall in front of him, their arms crossed, eyes blazing. Karen's fake cops now looked nervous. One tugged at his belt and whispered, "We're done here." But Karen wasn't ready to lose. Her voice cracked with fury as she screamed, "Arrest them all! This entire ranch is under HOA seizure!" The crowd erupted, shouting over her madness. I raised my voice louder than I thought possible. "Enough! This is my land. My father's deed is in my truck right now, and I'll show every single one of you proof." Karen sneered. "Paperwork means nothing. Authority is mine." She reached for her phone, dialing fast, muttering, "Then I'll get real police." For the first time, her eyes betrayed fear. She knew her plan was falling apart, but she had one more trick up her sleeve. Karen pressed her phone to her ear, pacing like a cornered wolf. Moments later, the distant wail of sirens echoed across the ranch. The crowd hushed, every head turning toward the dirt road. 2 county cruisers rolled up, lights flashing, dust swirling behind them. My stomach dropped. If these were real cops, things could turn ugly. Karen smirked, her confidence flooding back. "Finally, someone who will listen," she whispered. The officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts. Karen rushed forward, waving her fake papers. "Arrest this man! He's trespassing on HOA property, resisting authority, and threatening me." I opened my mouth to speak, but Karen cut me off, pointing at me like I was a criminal. "He's dangerous. He even hired fake witnesses to cover his tracks." The officers glanced at me coldly, then one snapped, "Sir? Hands behind your back." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My heart pounded and I tried to reason, "This is my land. Check the deed." But the officer didn't budge. The cold click of handcuffs echoed louder than the crowd's shouts. Karen's triumphant grin cut through me as she hissed, "Say goodbye to your ranch." For the first time, fear clawed at my chest. Was justice about to betray me too? The steel cuffs tightened around my wrists, but I didn't struggle. Instead, I looked straight at the officers and spoke calmly. "Before you take me away, check your radios. You might want to know who you're really cuffing." The taller officer frowned, pressing the mic on his shoulder. A sharp crackle came through, followed by a commanding voice. "Unit 12, stand down immediately. The man you're detaining is a decorated Marine and property owner. Do not proceed," the crowd gasped. Karen's face drained of color. No, this can't be happening," she stammered, waving her arms wildly. The officers froze, exchanging stunned looks. I leaned forward, voice steady. "You see, Karen, while you were busy faking authority, I was busy calling the sheriff directly. He's an old friend, and he's been listening to everything." Just then, another vehicle pulled up, this one without sirens but carrying more weight than all the noise combined. Out stepped Sheriff Dalton himself, broad-shouldered, calm, with decades of law written on his face. Karen staggered back, clutching her fake papers like a shield. Dalton's deep voice rumbled, "Karen, I've got a stack of complaints on you a mile high. Today you crossed the line." Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish pulled from water. "Sheriff, they're lying. Those videos are fake. Those people are lying for him." Dalton cut her off with a single glare. "Enough. We have your voice on tape instructing men to impersonate officers." "That's a felony," the crowd roared. Some clapping, others shouting. "Lock her up!" Karen's fake cops began edging toward their SUVs, but deputies moved in fast, blocking the exits. The boy with the camera stepped forward bravely, handing it to the sheriff. Dalton hit play, and Karen's shrill orders echoed through the speakers. "Make it look real. Drag him out!" The final shred of her defense crumbled. I lifted my cuffed wrist slightly and said, "Sheriff, you're holding the wrong man." Dalton nodded, his jaw tight, and ordered the deputy, "Get those off him now." As the cuffs fell from my wrists, the weight seemed to vanish too. But Karen wasn't done. She screamed, lunging toward me, "This ranch belongs to me! I'll sue you all! I'll burn this place down before I let you win." The deputies grabbed her arms, forcing them behind her back as she kicked and cursed. The sight was almost surreal. Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of authority, being dragged off in disgrace under her own neighbor's eyes. As Karen's shouts faded into the distance, silence swept over the ranch. The crowd turned toward me, no longer unsure but united. Sheriff Dalton placed a heavy hand on my shoulder and said loud enough for all to hear, "This land is yours. It always was. No one, HOA or otherwise, has the right to take it." The words struck deep, and for a moment I felt my father's presence, as if he were standing with me under the wide-open sky. The boy with the camera smiled proudly. "The world's going to see this. People should know the truth." I looked around at my neighbors, faces that had doubted me minutes ago, now filled with respect. I didn't fight for this country overseas just to come home and be told, "I can't live on my own land," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "This ranch is my family's bloodline, and no paper, no fake badge, no bully can ever change that." The crowd erupted in cheers, hats lifted high into the air. Horses neighed, kids clapped, and even Dalton cracked a rare smile. Justice had not only been served, it had been witnessed. And as the sun dipped low behind the hills, I knew one thing for certain: freedom is never given, it's defended.